The War Story by Marion Doerflinger. Let me tell you a story. I grew up in the Ozark country of Missouri, but if you go north Missouri, the land gets flat and fertile, and that's where farmers make money. Well, a long time ago when I was young, and I had 5 people to feed, I tried to make a living as a salesman, and was not a salesman. And I was driving through the winding country roads of some of the best farmland in Missouri, past people I loved, and all I was doing was talking to them about stuff that they didn't want to buy and I didn't want to sell. So about the 4th or 5th time I said, this is stupid, and I threw all my sales stuff in the back. And then I came to another farmhouse, and I pulled in the lane, and I walked up and knocked on the door, and an old timer opened it. I guess he was 80. He said, "What you need, young'un?" And I said, "Well, I'm just loafing in this part of the country, and I haven't been here before, and I was wondering if I would meet somebody that would give me a cup of coffee and tell me a story while I waste their time." And he said, "You sure as hell have found the man for the job." So we sat down at his old scarred table where so many family dinners and so many big family decisions had been made and held. And he said, "Yep, used to be a good farmer, down to 3 cows. When they grow old, I'm going to ship them. And I'm just going to sit here at this table and look out the window and drink coffee until I get old and die and they take me away. And then my kids are going to sell it because the kids don't want to farm anymore. But by God, when I was a young man, I was a soldier. I fought in the Battle of the Bulge. And one day, there were 20 of us in a crater where a big bomb had dropped. And on every side in the wooded hills around us in our little valley and our little crater were German soldiers, and they wanted to kill us. Now, it's the damnedest thing. We had all the guns and all the bullets you would need to kill every German soldier that ever lived or died, but we didn't have one goddamn bite of food. And I had a lieutenant that wouldn't stop making fun of me because I have a German name. And he'd say every hour on the hour, "Why don't you go ask your cousins what they got to eat?" And one day, one minute, I said, "That's enough." And I stood up where all the Germans could see me, and I don't know why they didn't open fire, but I dropped my rifle, and I took off my pack and my ammo belt, and I just walked up the hill. And I came to 2 German soldiers who looked puzzled, and I said, "I want to see whoever's running this goddamn show of yours." So they took me to this German officer, and he said in the most perfect English, as if he had been educated in an American college, "What can I do for you, young man?" And I said, "My lieutenant wants to know what you all got to eat." And he said, "Oh, we got plenty. How about you?" "We don't have a goddamn thing but bullets, but we'll feed you all of them that you want should you decide to come down these hills." And he just put his head back and he laughed, and it did my heart good. And he stuck his hand out and I shook it, and it was a handshake of an honest man. And he said, "I want you to tell your lieutenant that we don't want him. And you look like a strong man. How much can you carry?" And I said, "Well, sir, I push a plow and sometimes I dig coal. I can carry about all you got." So he loaded me down with food, all the food I could carry. And I walked down that hill, stepped down into that crater, dropped it on the floor of the crater, looked at my stunned and amazed lieutenant, and I said, "That German officer says he don't want you." Next morning, with full bellies, the sun rose, and there were no Germans in sight. 3 days later, it was given to me to drive a supply truck to the holding area for the German soldiers who had been captured. And that German officer walked out, and we shook hands again, and he said, "There's enough for everybody, and we don't have to kill each other."